timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. AfroEconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out AfroEconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly AfroEconomics podcast. There are many levels of AfroEconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. Hashtag AfroEconomics. Oh, that's so cool. I haven't played that in a long time. How's everybody? Thank you so much for sharing your day with me. I was looking for our background and then I found that video. I was like, why does that service keep like putting my background somewhere else? So now I have to take care of that. But I might, the background might look a little different, but at least we still have the website up there. I am JB Bryan, president of JB Bryan Financial Group, the home of AfroEconomics, and it is a registered investment advisory firm, JB Bryan Financial Group. Check me out at jbbryan.com, afroeconomics.com. Yes, indeed. Make sure that you just check out the websites. That's the afroeconomics.com. You can click to register. It's absolutely complimentary, so you can get all of the invites and all of the information, and it will be at your fingertip. Indeed. I am like, it's so different not seeing my colors, not seeing my overlay. And it's just awkward, but we're going to keep on moving, not turn that technical challenge for that company into a disability for me. I am still highly capable. Thank you so much, Tracy, for letting me know that you are awake out there, ready for class. That's right. Today's topic is one of those topics that you don't want to talk about, but everybody needs to talk about. So I want to make sure that our library of over 1,000 videos at your fingertips for your empowerment. I would say we probably have enough financial videos on the AfroEconomics YouTube channel that are free, that a person could probably get some college credit for it. I need to work on that. Get that. Our curriculum is no joke. What's going on in Stone Mountain, Georgia? Stone Mountain. Yes, indeed. So we're talking about how to protect your finances if a disability happens. If all of a sudden you can't work. How do you protect your finances? What are steps that we can take now and immediately, we think about, things like, oh, well, you apply for disability. I have not seen a person who has applied for Social Security disability that it didn't take a while, well past 90 days, for them to get approved for it. No, I was telling a client a few moments ago, I was like, I had a client that he had purchased long-term care insurance, and the policy was so bad that when he applied to use it, he died before they approved. They kept turning him down. Like, these are, things that people have no idea, that you can buy something and then the company still will force you to get approved to use it. And that's what's happening with Social Security, because you're putting money into the Social Security, but then if you become disabled, you have paid into it, and there's a certain amount of years, approximately 10 years of consistent work, in order for you to have the credits that will qualify you completely for the Social Security disability benefits. So the person that has it, if they don't, then they would get approved for something called SSI, and it's considerably smaller check for the person who hasn't worked long enough, that according to them, and becomes disabled before they have all their credits into the Social Security system. So disability is a whole, this is a viable discussion, and y'all should come in. You should come in. I'm gonna invite members to come in. And members, there is the link, because you might actually have some questions now. I could see your comments, but if you have some questions, I love to have questions. You know how people go, hold your questions to the end. I'm not that person, as y'all probably know by now. I like to have the questions as I'm going through it, and because that way it allows me to not have to go back and reference it later. So if you have the question, you put it up there, and as soon as I can answer it, I will answer it. It will not bother me to ask the question, but I would love it for you to come into the studio and ask the question live. Indeed. So I want to go back to some key points that I want to make sure that we get out of this discussion. My notes. So on protecting your finances from a disability, you could, one, purchase disability insurance. You can purchase short-term or long-term disability. Sometimes employers offer it. Sometimes you just get your own policy, call someone like me that's licensed in it, and get some quotes. They provide, the disability insurance provides income replacement when you're unable to work due to a disability. But the tricky thing on these is that you have to understand what you're buying. You have to understand what your policy's definition of disability is. So, like, sometimes people will say, oh, I have disability, I have it, and it's like, and it's only $25 a month, and I got disability coverage, and they're all excited. You might have some variation of, like, one of them companies that run all those commercials and everything. If they run a whole bunch of commercials, that should be your first warning sign. They're making a whole lot of money off you. So you have to know what is their definition of disability. I will argue that probably more than half of the people that have disability coverage that they think they have, they bought it from some of the, some company that's coming in and selling them some crap. I would say that at least half of it is just crap. They have no idea. They think what they think they have and what they have are two different things. So what I do with my clients and members is review the policies as much as I can. When we think about it, oh, you have that? Okay, well, let me look at it. What happens a lot is they don't want me to see it. They don't want me to see it because you find comfort in knowing that you have something, and it really doesn't matter that it's not what you think that you're buying. So when you bring it to me, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break it down. So it's like, I'm going to hear, I'm going to listen to what you think you have. And I want to make sure that that is what you have. And 99% of the time, what they think they have is not what they actually have. Scary thought, right? But it happens. I've been doing this a long, long time. Even at work, see, people will say, oh, it's covered at work. My stuff is covered at work, blah, blah, blah. And they think that they have where it would, cover them forever. And then they find out that it has a 6-month wait, maybe. And then after the 6 months, then you have to be, like not be able to do anything. The definition of disability is so broad that as long as you're still can blink your eyes, they think that you're capable of doing something, so you don't qualify for your coverage. So we have to know completely what is their definition. If it's 2 things of daily living or 3 things of daily living, or 4 things. So if you get with daily living, meaning a lot of times they'll say you can't do at least 2 things that are required for daily living. Like you can't walk to the bathroom, you can't cook for yourself, you can't give yourself a bath, you can't, so if they say it must be 3 things, so then it gets harder and harder to qualify. If it's your disability is defined by you are unable to do anything, then that means you got to be really, 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 really bad off to get a dime from this coverage. And through work, we have to look at things like, are you paying it for it, or is your employer paying for it? If your employer is paying for it, then the taxation on it is going to be different than when you're paying for it yourself. So these are the type of things that I'm going to look at to for coverage. Or when you say that, oh yeah, I had that covered. If you say, oh yeah, I had that covered, then okay, you have it covered. But if you're not quite sure the answers to those things that I was just talking about, then you don't have it covered. And get yourself into AfroEconomics. A second point is having an emergency fund. So you have, disability coverage, but it's not going to cover you for 6 months or for 3 months, or you don't have any coverage that you purchased or no coverage to work, but you're going to wait on the government, then your emergency fund needs to be pretty darn big, because it could take years to get the approval from the government. According to the research on the government, it says the Social Security disability, which is the government insurance disability program, paid out over $150 billion in benefits in 2023. The system is expected to exhaust its reserves at the end of 2035 if changes are not made. So that makes it even more important that we have this discussion and that you prepare yourself not to depend completely on the government system as a way of protecting your finances. Do you know that a job change is not the reason? Like, people losing their job is not the number one reason that people lose their home or they become homeless, things like that. Losing their job, that's not the number one reason. The biggest reason for people losing their homes, foreclosing, is a disability. Contrary to popular belief, we feel like, oh, this happens because, people are out of work. But if you're out of work and all you have to do is find another job, why should you use your home? Especially if you have this second tip, your emergency fund intact. Typically, you can find another job within 90 days. Correct? Correct. Right? So my third, let's look at the, you know, my third suggestion would be like what we're going to do after, and I should go from the top. So the disability insurance. The second thought is making sure we have the emergency fund. A third thought is to make sure that we review all of the existing insurance coverages that you have, update everything. Make sure that you have the beneficiaries the way you want them to be on the life insurance. And then make sure that you have an understanding of any supplements or disability supplements that you might have added on to to your life insurance. Will your life insurance premium be paid if you're disabled or things like that? Do you have that? What type of supplemental disability coverage do we have? Like a lot of the disability plans that unfortunately it seems like our community tends to have are not income replacement disability plans, but they'll be like a supplemental plan. No, it will say if you get, even some of them that are popular now is specific to what problem. Like it'll be like, this only pays you such and such amount of money if you get cancer. No. So like to me, that's an uncomfortable bet to make just because you're someone else in your family got that. No, that's not what you want to happen. If you have a generic disability coverage for any challenge, then even if it's an accident that causing the disability, you'll be covered. You get it specific to a one unique cause, like you that premium can be lower because that, could be it. Like they could even say, like that, okay, just you get the cancer, but it has to be like a particular stage of the cancer for them to pay out, and things like that. So you have to really understand when you do these specific and supplemental plans and things like that, look at the fine print, or let's look at it together. Review everything. A fourth point would be to have a budget so that if you were to unexpectedly become disabled, you know how much it takes for you to maintain your lifestyle. And you will also understand, if you have a budget or a clear look at your expenses, Mr. Jefferson, then you'll know what things you can take out. Like if something happens and the person can't drive anymore, why are they still paying a car payment? There's a lot of people, they're paying a car payment because the person that drives them around doesn't have a car. So they have to have the car for the person that's driving them around. But if that person that's driving you around is also using your car for their needs, then they need to be helping you with that payment or get rid of that car. You'd be better off with Uber, medical transport. There's other ways that might even be covered by your insurance, by your health insurance. So know your budget, know your expenses. And then, I also pointed out in my notes, to make sure that you have a understanding of the Social Security disability, how it is, how it works. Make sure you go to ssa.gov. None of us are preparing for a disability, but ssa.gov is a good place for you to have your account all set up. So it will show you, if you are disabled, this is what you qualify for. That's what the payment would be. This is what your minor children would get, things like that. It's good to sign up for ssa.gov, have that set up for Social Security, or for an unfortunate disability need an application. Go in there, check it out. Think about long-term care needs. If you were to become disabled and you needed long-term care. Long-term care insurance can become very expensive, right? So it means like that making sure that we're investing in our health, taking preventive measures is a key tip here. What exactly can we do? How much can we do in order to make sure that we stay as healthy as we can for as long as we can? Preventive measures to avoid the disability. I was walking out of the gym today, and there's a man that cleans up the office connected to the gym. And he was standing out there smoking. And he's such a nice, gentleman. Seems to be an older man. You never know. Because cigarettes age you. We might be the same age, but he looked like he was way older. But I'm walking out the gym trying to save my life. Here he is, like one of the nicest people I've ever met. And I'm wondering, like, does he understand what he's doing to himself? And I couldn't stay and talk to him because, like, he wanted to talk, like, how I just small talk, this and that. But I just did not want that in my throat. It's way too close to the door. I wonder, Mr. Jefferson, should I have said, like, why are you so close to the door? But I mean, he's just that nice. He's so nice that you just would not find yourself saying, you know what, hey, if you want to harm yourself, go on down to the corner. But right here at the door is, I'm coming out of a gym. Obviously, I'm trying. But what do I wonder when we do that, like when we do things like that, smoke, drink, stress out, scream and yell, keep drama, stress in your life. When we do that, like, God forbid, what happens? What happens, like, when that person becomes sick because they've done all these things that create sickness? Like, do you say, I did this to myself, or, I should put that out as a poll. Like, what do you think people say? Because I don't want any of us to ever say that you are a victim of what you did, that what you could have. And a lot of times, we know what to do, like the whole, like, having the emergency fund. I felt so glad when I went to the bank and the bank just decided that they were going to close one of my accounts. And I said, well, where's my money? Where's my money? Because they said that they couldn't verify the address. So they closed the account, and they were eventually going to send a certified check of my money to the address that they weren't sure was a good address. I was telling everyone in a members meeting when the day after that it happened, that a pain like went all the way down. It was like an electric shock came down, because I was like, I think I'm going to wring her arrogant ass neck right now. Because I'm just sitting there like, hey, I logged in and it said address confirmation, hold. So how do I get my money unheld? And they said, oh, there's nothing you can do. We just needed that. There's a customer identification, something. Like, I wonder what they would have done if, like, I had, God forbid, a heart attack or something in their branch. But I thought to myself, this is exactly why We have to have an emergency fund. We have to have other money. Now, so all I could do is like use it as a, an example of how we have to expect the unexpected. Because, you know, even if you're not standing outside somewhere smoking and drinking too much and doing all these things to hurt yourself, accidents happen. Things happen. Things get worn out. We're only human. A lot of things just naturally happen on their own. It doesn't even need our help. Like if we don't keep ourselves strong enough, like we can do absolutely nothing, and doing nothing is a killer. We can sit right there. Sit right there. Like I feel worse if I have to sit all day than if I am doing a track meet and busy all day. I'm good. Feel fantastic. Not an ache in the body. Not something. But if I sit, then the muscles get tight and you're sitting there. And, if you're doing that over and over, and if a person is repeatedly doing that, never doing anything, like the nothing can lead to the disability. They're saying that sitting is now found from health stats. Sitting is worse than smoking. So that man that was out there smoking, he was thin and he's working, probably in his 70s or 80s, and he's working, moving. And a person like sitting at home and just sitting may be at higher risk than him out there smoking. They could be at higher risk by just sitting and eating for cardiovascular disease than the man that's out there moving, laughing, talking to people, stress is relaxed, making some money, and smoking. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Preventive measures, a key part of this. Take your health seriously to prevent it, to protect your finances, protect your health, maintain good health and preventive care. Engaging in a healthy lifestyle can reduce the risk of disability and the associated medical expenses associated with the disability. We don't have to grow old and get sicker and sicker and sicker. It doesn't have to be that way. It does not have to be that way. Make sure that you have a power of attorney. You're alive, but you need someone else to take care of things because of something that might happen. That's where the power of attorney comes in. They can take over and manage your business, but you got to have someone that's power of attorney, and you got to have the medical advance directives to make the healthcare decisions when you're unable to do it yourself. Amazing. Y'all are quiet today. Y'all are amazingly quiet. But one thing I know, please hit the like button if you're on YouTube or on Facebook or on any of the social media. Hit the like button. I've been watching this trial, listening to it. And the people always ask, hit the like button, hit the like button. Please subscribe. Oh, please subscribe. And I'm like, why don't I do that? Why don't I ask you to help me help you? I think the one thing that will help prevent me from falling to a disability is the love that you share. The love that you share by hitting the like button will make me feel better, reduce my risk, and help me live longer. Healthy. Look, we don't just want to live, we want a longer health span, not just lifespan. Because a lot of things can help you live longer. but we want to be healthy for a longer period of time. Oh, thank you, Joshua Moses in Las Vegas. May you be healthy for a long, long, long time, young blood. Thank you for saying hi. Yes, indeed. So another way to help yourself from or protect your finances if you were to incur a disability, and a disability doesn't have to be forever. Like, you could be disabled for a year and recover. So you want your finances to try to stay in order during that time of healing, right? So you can, to protect your finances, we can always have different forms of income streams. Diversify your ways of making money. You might have an online business, you might sell used items, you might have investments in your investment portfolio that we're using as a source of income. You could have rental properties that we're working on. Like, you could have, but diversify your sources of income, especially those passive forms of income, right? And that's why, like, the 10th principle of AfroEconomics is Black health, Black wealth. The 10th principle is about this very protecting your health so that you're not spending all of your income on uncovered medical expenses. Years ago, the last time I saw the survey, approximately $250,000 are spent during retirement on uncovered medical expenses. We can get that number down. We can get that number down. Yeah. Let it be on massage therapist or something. No, let it be on fun stuff, not on covering the cost of going in or the cost of getting that test. And you had to pay $1,000 out of pocket. I had a client one time, he had to pay $2,000 for this drug that they wanted him to take. And then he passed away anyway. But he was like blown away that he had to pay $2,000 and he had great coverage. Well, I guess sometimes because he had the money, it might have been covered if he was poor. The burden is much more on a person who's not poor. A person who's not poor, it's like, that's why you have to be very intentional about while we're working, that we take care of ourselves. Because if not, you'll have to spend so much of your money that you were working for on your health. That man worked hard his entire life. She worked so hard, she don't qualify for any of this free stuff. So you got to pay out of pocket. So we have to make sure that we're as healthy as possible. Be intentional about our movement. Be intentional about our choices. No? Be intentional about avoiding that added sugar. And I would say, like, as an additional suggestion and final, possibly, you know how I want to keep going whenever I want to, is to, make sure that you work with your financial advisor. Share this, these thoughts, share these points with your financial advisor. Join AfroEconomics so that I can be your financial advisor. If you are a member and you're watching this, it's time for us in our next meeting to make sure that we go over, this portion. Are you prepared for the unexpected? If you were to become disabled, how would you do? Do you know your budget? Do you have your own personal protection? Or would you be working or depending more on your employer? If you're in a high risk environment, do they have good workers' comp? Do they have it? what I always wonder about, like when they talk about undocumented people, I always wonder, like, are these employers covering these people because they're not citizens of the United States? The employers could easily get over on them and not provide them with workers' comp coverage, because that is a requirement for citizens. But are they actually covering the undocumented worker because they get injured also? Just a thought that I think about. But a lot of times, we think, oh, well, they're undocumented, and, let them work here, and let them work here. They're risking their lives, a lot of them, and they're worthy of proper protection. And if the employer is not going to give them proper protection, they should not be putting that human being. I don't care if they're not a citizen. You should not be putting that human being under that type of risk just to save yourself money. It's just not right. It's just not right. And we don't talk about that. They don't talk about that extent of it, that, hey, you're not properly protected, and we have to figure out, how we're going to get that right. And if those employers had to do what they'd have to do to hire the Black man, then to do that same construction work, then they wouldn't, they wouldn't do that. We wouldn't have all these people coming in from other countries. They're basically exploiting the people from other countries because they don't want to have to take care of them properly, and they don't want to have to take care of the Black man construction worker who is a citizen they have to cover, or they'll be put in jail. The employer has to provide workers' comp, but it only covers you if you incur a disabling event at the job. So workers' comp is not a good generic disability coverage. It is coverage for if you trip at work, if you fall down at work, if you're installing an elevator and the elevator falls on you, God forbid. I had that happen to uncle at the shipyard, in the I didn't get to ask my father, like, how they handled that back then. That was a long time ago. They might not have even had workers' compensation for US citizens or Black people back then. Scary to think about. But we need to get in tune with what coverage that we have. Where are you? What risk are you exposed to? What if you have existing policies? Let's get together and talk about them. If you have an advisor, talk with them about it. If you want to get a second opinion, sign up for AfroEconomics. It's well worth it. You could be spending thousands on something that is not providing the coverage that you think you're getting. And every penny counts. Even though they're going to stop making pennies, they still count today. Yes, indeed. I appreciate y'all. I hope that some these key points really hit home for you. Protecting your finances from a disability, and one is you can always purchase. We can always review disability policies and options that are out there. Have an emergency fund. Update everything that you have. Every insurance policy that you have, make sure it's updated. If you have it, make sure you have it. Check with your employer. Do you have disability coverage? Do you have life insurance? Check on all your coverages. If you don't feel properly insured, contact me. I am a licensed life, health, disability, and property and casualty. So it's your resident registered investment advisory firm. I can help you review your insurances as well. Create and make sure you have a budget. Make sure you can look in on, oh, this is extra right here. So the bare minimum of what I have to have in order to live is this. All that other stuff, oh, those are extra, 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 but at least you can still do that. But just know if something were to happen, you need to have at least this type of coverage or this amount saved. If you want to have 3 months of emergency fund, then you need to know what your bare bones expenses are. Sign up for ssa.gov. Get the details on if you were to become disabled today, what would Social Security provide to you as a check if you qualify? Review and plan for the unexpected long-term care. Look at the options in that area. Check out your medical coverage. Another point would be establish your, make sure you have the medical directives and power of attorney in place. So you had a disability and you couldn't take care of your personal needs for a minute, this person could step up easily. Right? I had a client one day. I got a call and a person said they were her sister, and I know this client was an only child. So really what they were was her father, who was deceased, one of his children by someone else. But I've known the woman for 30 plus years. I've known her my entire career. So I know where she was with them. So this person is calling, they're saying this and that, blah, 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 about, what she's taken over and this and this and that, and that they needed money and they needed it quick because she was in a long-term care situation. So I say to, them, like, send me the paperwork. So they send me some paperwork that says that on my client's deathbed, she gave this person the right to take her money out, which could have been, may not be her deathbed. So I called the nursing home and I said, like, this person is calling me saying this, but based on this picture that she sent me, my client is in no position to give anybody the right to do anything. Now, if my client had already done a power of attorney a month, a day, even a day before, then that would have been fine. But you're saying that she gave you power of attorney and she can't talk. So the lady at the nursing home said, what? They did what? And I said, they're telling me and send me a video that my client is giving them the right. And the person who notarized the stuff worked at a law firm. So then the sister commenced to texting and fussing at me. And I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. I don't know who, but she's being mean to me because I was looking out for my client's best interests. But that's where it really pays, because I was like, God forbid, like, say I just was like, whatever, I just accept it and I let her just start taking my client's money. And then the client lives, she recovers, she's fine. She don't even know this girl, don't like her, they don't talk. She just is the next of kin by default because everybody else died. But she did not appoint her, but I played along and did that. That would have been horrible. But she was so mad that I was making her go through the court system. But that's my thing is, you need to go to the court. You become the guardian because this paperwork was not done before the disability. So you got to go through the courts and you prove to the courts that you're the right one. And then when you go through the courts and do it right, they make sure that every dime is spent on my client. You get guardianship, you got to report to the court what you did with that money. If I had fallen for their crappy paperwork and that person could go, I mean, literally, if I had done it, that person that from that law firm that signed that paperwork, should go to jail. You in this room, you see this lady is totally incapacitated. The lady in the nursing home was like, no, they did not. I said, they sent me a video with my client slubbering and can't speak. Not, and thinking that I'm going to, like, this makes the paperwork valid. They weren't even on the beneficiary of our assets. Like, this person's not even on there. So they can literally, if I had fallen for that trickery, spend all the client's money and the beneficiary actually get nothing. She was like, yeah, because we got to take care of things, the house payment and this and that. I said, but if she's not living in the house, then literally, do we have to worry? I don't know. Let the judge worry about it. I just step back. But you could, you know what I mean? You got to trust God in that type of situation. And God was like, it's just not right. Because if they said, like, she's not going to live, like, why would you be taking her life savings and paying for a house that she'll never live in again? So it does matter. Our conversations do matter. I've seen that so many times throughout my career. My conversations with my clients, like, matter. We think we're just talking, but when it matters, it matters. You just know that I got y'all back. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Let me see if I have, so we'll have it recorded. They'll need that website and you can join at AfroEconomics.com or AfroEconomics.org. My phone number. Oh, check this one out. Check this one out. I'm just showing off my little stuff. Please share and subscribe. I can't believe I have that in there. I was been smart. I was smart that day. I appreciate you all so much. I'm right here. Look. But don't go to. I have one more thing for you. The no. Oh, Casey, I'm looking forward as well. Exactly. Thank you so much. Make sure you text me. I appreciate you. Okay, y'all. Enjoy your day. Make it great. I had some salmon this morning. I feel so good. I feel so strong. Listen to your body. Listen to your body and pray that it asks for good stuff. You deserve it. Bye-bye now.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of AfroEconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. AfroEconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out AfroEconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly AfroEconomics podcast. There are many levels of AfroEconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out AfroEconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #AfroEconomics.
Love y'all. Take care.